And during that period, a black worker from the South could get a job in Detroit, auto industry, buy a home, buy a car, kids go to school and so on. Well, that ended in the 1970s. In the 1970s, with the decision to financialize the economy, which meant, as a corollary, means hollowing out productive industry. It doesn't end. You just produce, in Mexico or in China or Vietnam or something. So for the owners and the banks, it's wonderful, but it meant removing the opportunities here. How did we react to that? By criminalizing the black population, right back to post-Reconstruction. You go back to, say, 1980, the U.S. Prison population was, per capita, was pretty much like the other rest of the industrial world. I mean, now it's 5 to 10 times as high, all on the pretext of the drug war is the main thing. And it's mostly black and Hispanic now. So you're tossing the superfluous population back into prison, and they're being used for prison labor, often in violation of international conventions. It's not identical to the post-slavery situation, but remarkably similar. In fact, if you look at the history of Afro-Americans, since they were first brought to this hemisphere, they've had a couple of decades of relative freedom. It's a fairly serious matter, I would think. If that's not headline news, I don't know what is. And you can find it, and it's not secret. In fact, the post-slavery story happens to be very eloquently described and in great detail by a Wall Street Journal correspondent. The head of the Atlanta Bureau of the Wall Street Journal wrote articles in the Journal about it and has a book about it. Well, it's not secret. It just doesn't enter consciousness, just as the fate of the indigenous population doesn't enter consciousness. Well, to keep things out of consciousness, that's significant. Actually, Orwell had something to say about this too. He wrote an article which probably very few people have read because it wasn't published. It was the introduction to Animal Farm. Everybody's read Animal Farm, but the introduction to it didn't appear. Nobody knows whether it was suppressed or what happened. The introduction to it was about what he called literary censorship in England. And the thrust was, okay, this book is a kind of a caricature of this horrible totalitarian state, but we shouldn't feel too self-righteous about it, because in free England, it's they're similar phenomena. And he discusses them, but 2 or 3 lines of explanation which capture what's going on pretty well.
Our guest you've been listening to is Noam Chomsky. Unfortunately, I hear the band tuning up in the background, Professor Chomsky. It means they have to clear us out of the studio. It has been a wonderful honor to have you here today on Media Matters.